That was always the main goal for me, to establish a business there.
Right.
But when I first went to Australia, I worked for a company. It was almost like a boutique hotel where we had boarding and training. We had up to about 600 dogs could have been in the facility at any given time.
And it's a hotel?
It's a dog hotel.
A dog hotel.
Yes, it's boarding and training, and they just have, again, the boarding and daycare. So people used to bring dogs in and out all through the day, constantly.
Right.
So I worked for that company for about 18 months to feel the lay of the land.
Right.
To observe what's happening there and know what not to do.
Right, right.
And it taught me a lot. So I worked, like I said, worked for them for 18 months. After that, I started working for myself.
And how were you accepted over in Australia? I mean, I guess the exception, the greeting, I mean, because to me, I mean, I could never imagine just picking up my family and going to like Australia. Maybe the States, but like, to me, every time I think about Australia, I think about everything over there trying to kill you. You know, from the spiders, the snakes, and that's all that goes through my head when I think about Australia.
But like with me, how I look at it, I remember like I helped title a friend of mine dog in tracking. We would go bush Australia. I haven't seen a snake yet. But I'm talking about, I mean, we're in the bush for sometimes 7-8 hours, going tracking and doing that with the dog. I haven't seen a snake, have not seen a spider.
Good night.
I guess stuff like that just is bothering me. But I mean, when I first spoke to you, I was like so amazed. I was like, well, we have a behemoth in Australia, and he doing the canine thing.
Yes, but everything is through God.
I believe that 100%.
He gave me the vision because, again, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in the position that I am today.
Right.
And every day I give thanks for what I actually got.
We have to. Mr. Higgins, this is Julius Jones. He's one of the co-hosts.
Hello, good
Julius
night.
Jones, Mr. Higgins, this is Mr. Australia.
How you doing?
All right.
Yeah, man. So is your son into the dog training?
No, my son isn't into the dog training, but how I look at with my son, I want him to have his own identity.
Yeah,
don't have mine. Just because I'm into dog training, don't mean that you have to be into it.
Right.
But whatever he decides to pursue as a career for him, I am 150% behind it.
Right.
And that's how I look at with my son right now.
Oh, okay. Now I only ask because my little boy, he into the dog thing.
Yes.
But at the same time, I never pushed him to say be in the dog thing.
Yeah.
Now if you don't come outside and view the dogs or walk the dog with me, I all down with that. You know what I mean? Because to me, it does feel good. Because when I walking down with my dogs and my little boy on the side of me, I just feel proud because I'm like, yeah, but this makes son be doing our thing.
Yes.
But at the same time, he isn't into it all the time. He still has stuff he's into and he wants to do.
Yeah.
So I don't be like, well, okay. 1 or 2 times I pushed the kid to the trip. I said, oh, so you won't come out with me to feed the dogs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Next time. I said, all right, then I didn't forget you. Like how you forgetting me. You know, because as I said, it's a good feeling when you have him when I have him on the side of me and we're doing our dog thing. But I don't want him to do the dog thing because daddy doing the dog thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I can understand that clearly.
Yeah, and what I like with my son, he likes the dogs.
Right.
When we had dogs back in Nassau, he used to handle the protection dog.
Right.
I think it was about 7 or 8 at the time. So he would do the handling and I would be the one with the sleep on. So that means he tells the dog what to do. And he used to enjoy that when we did it a few times.
Right.
So overall, he likes the dogs, but he's on his own path now.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Because he can always come back and say, hey, Dad, let's do one little for old time's sake.
Yeah.
And I know you'll feel good with that.
Now, this is it with living in Australia. We have a lot of restrictions. Like a protection dog you can't have unless you're police, military, or security. If your dog is aggressive in any way, it must be wearing a muzzle. So a lot of the free hands, what I see normally that's happening, let's say in U.S. in Nassau, even certain parts of Europe.
Right.
It's not that easy in Melbourne, Australia.
Okay. So they have a lot of, is it the type of dog or?
It don't matter what type of dog it is. If it's a dog that was trained into security, that dog has to have a muzzle on.
Okay.
And it isn't just the average person that's going to own one of those.
So there's actually application somebody fill out to get one of those dogs or?
No, they're not for civilians.
Mm.
They're only for the service
Of security.
departments to actually own.
Okay.
Now, other parts of Australia you might find where an average person has a protection dog.
Mm-hmm.
But the laws prevent average people from owning one.
Wow.
Why is that?
I think they might have had problems in the past where people might have had dogs and used them incorrectly, and everyone else pays the price for it now.
Oh, yeah, I can understand that.
And they put it on the law books like, nope, this ain't happening.
Right.
But even if you have it to protect your host,
No,
family,
no. Even over there, the majority of, I would say, cases what I get or training what I get, if the dog is aggressive, they're trying to tone that down.
Mm.
So they're trying to get the dog to more or less be like
A pet.
a family pet,
Right.
what has no issues with people.
Mm.
right,
And from your point of view, how you, I mean, everyone entitled to their own opinion, but how do you feel about that? I mean, like, that to me, that's a drastic step.
right.
Because I kind of, most people, I mean, I have my dogs as a pet, as pets, and also I look under them to secure my yard.
Yes. But I would say when you look at how Australia is set up, I think they had one shooting in Tasmania years ago. After that, their gun laws changed drastically.
One shooting.
One shooting. And that turned things completely around, where they didn't have no massive shootings or anything like that.
Okay.
If you hear a shooting, that's like big news.
So,
One.
So it's like they nick everything in about
Yep.
at
One
go,
time.
one time.
One time. They call Melbourne the nanny state.
The what?
The nanny state.
Oh,
Everything is regulated.
all right. Like nannies to take care of children.
Yeah, but I would say, we're
Yeah,
always
okay.
watching everything. Even like with me, if you own a dog training business over there, you have to have public liability insurance.
Right.
If you don't have it,
You ain't getting it.
you are not really within the law of doing the training.
Okay. I mean, to each his own. I mean,
Yes.
I can understand the regulations for it, because at the end of the day, I guess they're just trying to keep the populace safe.
Safe, yes. And honestly, I don't get frustrated with what they put in place because I know it's for the better good. And with, again, the question what you asked earlier, what I think about the protection part. Even before I left the Bahamas, I actually stopped doing protection work completely.
All right.
I used to do the Bahamas Humane Society dog show and also the Bahamas Kennel Club dog show. I used to do demonstrations to all of those clubs. But, it got to the point where I found that it's easier to have a nice family pet. People have dinner parties, they have people come from out of town. I prefer to have a nice neutrally balanced dog rather than having something that's just going to react because the person missed their steps coming down, missed their stepping coming down the steps, and it reacted for no reason.
I mean, but training cures all that. Because I also, I don't know if you ever heard of. You probably have the gentleman who invented or who created the Doberman Pinscher.
Yes.
He said he was trying to produce a dog that wears the. Let me see if I can say the exact words. That wears the tuxedo, but knows when to take out the trash. And when I heard that, when I was in love with it, I was like, what? That is so right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's like with everything what I find in life too. You're going to find 1 in a million who are going to be able to do that.
Right.
But all the dogs what I've trained here for clients in personal protection work.